North Korea is not what you think. Here's why. North Korea, a land of secrets, strange and terrifying stories, frequently makes headlines, leaving the world stunned and horrified. The country is infamous not only for its isolation but also for the bizarre, almost unbelievable events that happen behind the scenes of its absolute control. We often hear about the perfect state through the regime's propaganda, but what's the real story? Shocking truths, chilling tales, and things you never expected are waiting to be uncovered. Brace yourself, because what you're about to learn might change how you view this most mysterious nation. Number 15. Forced labor. Imagine a place where freedom doesn't exist, where people aren't just controlled in their thoughts but also work to the bone. That's North Korea, a land shrouded not just in the darkness of isolation, but also where forced labor is a harsh, inescapable reality few can even imagine. Behind the glittering facade of a perfect regime, North Korea hides brutal labor camps, places where people are condemned to grueling work under the regime's iron fist. Political prison camps, known as Kwanleo, are machines that crush both body and spirit. Here, thousands of people, from adults to children, are forced into backbreaking labor under conditions so horrific it's hard to believe. With no way out, no hope in sight, most of those imprisoned are never even tried, with no chance to defend themselves. The so-called crimes leading to forced labor sentences are often vague, even absurd. A slip of the tongue, an action deemed disloyal, or simply being related to someone suspected of dissent. The regime's brutal three-generation policy doesn't just punish the individual but drags their entire family, including innocent children, into the nightmare. Inside these camps, prisoners work non-stop, often for over 12 hours a day, with barely enough food to keep them alive. Children, instead of going to school, are put to work, enduring hunger and the cold, growing up deprived in every way. And the pain doesn't stop there. Any sign of resistance, no matter how small, is met with savage violence. North Korea's labor camps aren't just places of exploitation, they are tools the regime uses to instill fear and crush any resistance. These are places where human rights don't exist, and life is as fragile as a thread. The heartbreaking stories from these camps are a wake-up call for the world. Behind North Korea's isolated facade is a ruthless system of exploitation and oppression that needs to be exposed and condemned. The darkness of forced labor cannot stay hidden forever behind the regime's thick veil of control. Number 14. Otto Warmbier. From bold adventure to a tragedy that shook the world. In January 2016, the name Otto Warmbier, a passionate young student from the United States, suddenly became the focus of international attention. What happened to the 21-year-old during what seemed like a harmless trip to North Korea? What appeared to be a simple story opened the door to the dark, closed-off world of the regime, full of excitement and curiosity. Otto joined a tour to North Korea through a travel company specializing in trips to mysterious destinations. But what started as an adventurous dream quickly turned into an endless nightmare. While staying at the Yanggakdo International Hotel in Pyongyang, Otto was accused of attempting to steal a propaganda poster, a symbol of the regime. This seemingly minor act was considered by North Korea as a serious, hostile act against the state. In an instant, Otto was arrested, faced a swift yet intimidating trial, and was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor. This decision shocked the entire world. How could such a youthful mistake result in such harsh punishment? The true horror came after he was locked away. Otto disappeared from the public eye, pulled into the regime's absolute control. The unanswered questions about how he was treated in North Korean prisons sparked global outrage and skepticism. Otto's story is not only a warning to anyone daring to step into this mysterious land, but also a painful reminder of how fragile freedom and human rights can be. What truly happened during Otto's final days? What is the truth hidden behind North Korea's veil of secrecy? The answers are still waiting to be uncovered. Number 13. The journey to showcase a terrifying power. In recent years, North Korea has turned propaganda into a sharp weapon, not only to solidify loyalty at home, but also to send a strong message to the outside world. Over the years, the regime has elevated its propaganda campaigns, using images of powerful nuclear missiles as symbols of the nation's strength and ambition. Posters plastered everywhere from major cities to remote villages depict missiles soaring through the sky, portrayed as the sacred shield protecting the nation from foreign enemies. The United States and its allies are often depicted as hostile forces, constantly lurking to destroy North Korea. Bold slogans accompany these images, challenging any threatening forces with a forceful declaration, "We are ready to respond with firepower." These posters are not only tools of domestic thought control, the Kim Jong-un regime uses them as public displays to assert that North Korea not only exists but is also ready to fight and win in any confrontation. Each missile test, each new propaganda image, is skillfully combined to boost national pride and threaten the international community. But what lies behind these flashy images? Do these bold statements truly mask the internal struggles and pressures? More importantly, should the world be concerned about these performances? What do you think about North Korea's propaganda tactics? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Number 12. Public trials in North Korea. Public trials are more than just legal proceedings. They are carefully staged displays of the regime's absolute power, designed to instill fear in the population. These aren't about seeking justice. They're a vivid warning. Stray even a little from the norms, and you'll pay the price. A shocking case recently involved two 16-year-olds who committed what, only in North Korea, could be considered a serious crime watching South Korean videos. To the outside world, this might seem harmless, even trivial, but to the regime it's seen as a direct challenge to their control over information and culture. At the trial, the boys stood before a panel of high-ranking officials, surrounded by their peers, all forced to witness their punishment. This wasn't a chance for justice or defense. It was a public spectacle meant to send a message. The accusations were heard uncontested, and the sentence was delivered in the tense silence of the crowd, a grim fate for two young lives. These public trials aren't just about punishing individuals, they're about showing power. They send a clear message: any form of defiance will be crushed. Whether it's watching a foreign video or speaking out against the regime, even the smallest acts of rebellion can have catastrophic consequences. Number 11. Life of Americans through propaganda. North Korea has long been known for its over-the-top propaganda campaigns, but a recent video has taken things to a whole new level. In this bizarre clip, Americans are depicted living in a world that's so far from reality, it's almost laughable. The video paints a dark and exaggerated picture. Americans are so poor that they supposedly rely on melting snow to survive. The footage of people enjoying snow with satisfied expressions paired with a voiceover calling it a gift from nature is pure satire. And it doesn't stop there. The video claims that many Americans live in tents provided by North Korea. It even shows Americans desperately scavenging for food, reinforcing the absurd idea that life in North Korea is far better. What makes the video so ridiculous isn't just the unbelievable content, but the exaggerated acting of the characters. The forced gestures, over-the-top dialogue, and nonsensical scenarios make you question, how far will North Korean propaganda go? Do the people of North Korea truly believe these distorted images, or do they secretly understand that it's all a political performance? And what's the real aim behind these videos? To strengthen the regime's control, or just to keep the narrative of isolation alive? Number 10. Interrogations in North Korea, silent hell. North Korea, a secretive nation full of horrifying secrets, has turned interrogations into a powerful tool for maintaining absolute control. Under Kim Jong-un's brutal regime, these interrogations are not just about gathering information, they're designed to crush any hope for freedom. Many North Koreans, desperate for a better life, risk everything to escape to China, but their dreams of freedom are often shattered mercilessly. The escapes are captured through close cooperation between North Korean border guards and Chinese authorities. When returned to North Korea, they face not only punishment but also harrowing interrogations that would send chills down anyone's spine. Leaked videos from humanitarian organizations reveal the terrifying reality: dark rooms where prisoners are forced to confess. They endure sophisticated torture methods, from hours of relentless questioning to physical abuse without mercy. One young woman caught trying to find refuge in China was relentlessly interrogated about why she fled, who helped her, and if she had any connections with foreign organizations. But interrogations are more than just extracting information, they're an attack on the human will. The interrogators intentionally use cruel methods to instill fear, ensuring that people know the consequences of challenging the regime. Tragically, the suffering doesn't end in the interrogation room. Many who survive are sent to harsh labor camps or face secret executions. Number 9. Escape beneath the ocean. In one of the most daring escape attempts in recent years, where every step was a step closer to death, a courageous individual made history by swimming across the Yellow Sea to freedom. Imagine 6 hours submerged in freezing water, where darkness and violent waves were his only companions. With just a diving suit, flippers, and basic breathing equipment, he silently navigated through waters near the heavily monitored demilitarized zone, where every inch is watched by infrared cameras, armed patrols, and advanced security systems. This story is not only a testament to extraordinary bravery, but also a haunting indictment of the desperation North Korea has instilled in its own people. The journey wasn't just an escape, it was a battle for life, freedom, and hope, things most of us take for granted. Does this man's courage stir your heart? What drove him to risk everything, even death? Share your thoughts. Can the will to live truly overcome all boundaries? Number 8. Journey from the darkness of hell. Leaving behind family, home, and their entire lives, North Korean defectors embark on a journey where every step is paid for in blood, tears, and sometimes life itself. It's not just an escape from a harsh regime, but a quest for the light of freedom amid the oppressive darkness of control. Every moment of this journey is a brutal test of courage and endurance. From cold winter nights crossing the frozen Yalu River to escaping relentless border patrols, each defector has a unique story, but all share the same goal: to escape the oppressive regime. However, crossing the border is not the end. The fear continues as they must live in hiding in China, where they are not recognized as refugees, but as illegal immigrants hunted by both border guards and Chinese authorities. Defectors constantly face the threat of being captured and sent back to North Korea, where harsh punishments such as beatings, imprisonment, or even execution await. Number 7. The Extreme Martial Arts Display. Recently, an extreme martial arts show by North Korean soldiers left the world in awe, capturing attention across the globe. Held in a massive outdoor stadium packed with top officials and military elites, this wasn't just a martial arts performance, it was a grand, carefully staged spectacle with one clear message: to affirm the regime's strength and the absolute loyalty of its soldiers. While martial arts exhibitions aren't rare in military cultures, North Korea takes them to an entirely different level. Every movement, every strike, every step radiates determination and precision. The soldiers weren't simply performing feats of strength, they were making a silent declaration. They are unwavering fighters, ready to sacrifice everything to uphold their ideology and their power. What truly sets this performance apart is the underlying propaganda. This event wasn't just about showing off military might, it was a public pledge of loyalty to Kim Jong-un, who sat watching intently, occasionally nodding as though he was personally endorsing every move. The soldiers weren't just demonstrating skill, they were proving their absolute dedication to their leader and the regime they serve. This wasn't a simple display, it was a powerful message to the world. North Korea's strength doesn't just lie in its military might, but in its unwavering belief in its leadership. Number 6. North Korean soldiers shooting paper targets. Amidst ongoing tensions with the West, North Korea continues to stage dramatic propaganda spectacles designed to stir nationalism and hatred. A recent video went viral, showing North Korean soldiers in perfectly pressed uniforms shooting at paper targets bearing the word USA on their helmets. This image goes beyond a mere military drill. It's a deeply symbolic act meant to underscore the country's unyielding stance toward the United States. With the dramatic film style typical of North Korean media, each shot fired seems to send a defiant message. The North Korean military is ready to take on any perceived threat. The impact of this imagery isn't just about fueling nationalism, it's about reinforcing loyalty to the regime. The United States, portrayed by the regime as the eternal enemy, is targeted both literally and symbolically, sending a message that North Korea is an unbreakable fortress. But beyond the dramatic visuals and chanting slogans, the video also reveals the grim reality of a country that relies heavily on propaganda to maintain control. Do these images truly inspire, or are they desperate attempts to preserve unity under mounting external pressure? This is a question that both North Koreans and the rest of the world should ask themselves. Number 5. The harsh life of North Korean female soldiers. The lives of female soldiers in North Korea are filled with hardship, humiliation, and endurance beyond what most can imagine. Behind the shiny image of a nation that constantly promotes military strength and loyalty lies a darker, quieter reality, one that few have ever heard about. For many young women, joining the military isn't a choice, it's a requirement. Military service is mandatory in North Korea, and women must serve for at least 7 years. They join at a young age, usually in their late teens, forced to abandon their personal dreams and become soldiers tasked with protecting the ideal world that the regime has crafted under Kim Jong-un's leadership. Once in the military, they face brutal conditions in an army known for its strictness. Female soldiers don't just endure harsh living conditions, they also suffer from a severe lack of basic necessities. Hygiene, something many take for granted, becomes a luxury they can't afford. Many struggle to maintain personal cleanliness, lacking basic sanitary supplies, and clean water is a rare commodity in many units. Some female soldiers have to fashion their own sanitary products out of scraps of cloth, battling through each day without even the most basic care. They endure cold showers, regardless of how harsh the winter may be. Imagine a woman struggling against bone-chilling cold while her body isn't properly protected. How can she possibly retain the strength needed to complete the grueling military tasks ahead? How can she even survive when every step is a fight for her life, let alone fulfill her military duties? Number 4. Interview with a homeless woman. In a forgotten corner where the light of compassion rarely shines, the heartbreaking story of a homeless woman left many in tears. Her life was a mixture of loss, despair, and failed attempts to survive in a harsh society. An investigative journalist found her on a field, quietly gathering dry grass. Not to eat but to feed the rabbits she was forced to care for. Behind this seemingly meaningless action lies a brutal system in North Korea. Raising rabbits is not a hobby, but a mandatory task. These rabbits aren't for her family's food, they're a contribution to the military, a directive enforced by schools and local communities. In the context of a bleak economy and harsh control, even the smallest actions reflect the loss of freedom and hopelessness. The woman shared her story with the journalist, her eyes filled with sadness and exhaustion. She recounted how, after losing both her parents, she was forced to wander the streets homeless and without hope. Surviving each day became an endless struggle. Her story didn't end there. In the years that followed, her life continued as a series of battles against hardship. Ultimately, she passed away in a field, the very place where she once gathered grass for the rabbits. It was a tragic end, yet no one but the journalist knew about her passing. Number 3. Power outages in North Korea. Pyongyang, the heart of North Korea, is now decorated with glittering high-rise buildings, including the 80-story tower standing tall as a symbol of the prosperity that Kim Jong-un wishes to showcase to the world. With promises of modern, comfortable living, these buildings seem to embody a new era of progress. But the reality tells a completely different story. Behind their glamorous exterior is a life constantly interrupted by power outages and malfunctioning elevators. Frequent power outages are an undeniable fact of life. Instead of enjoying convenience, residents are faced with sudden elevator stoppages, forcing them to climb dozens of flights of stairs to get to their apartments. The sight of families stumbling through darkness, using candles or flashlights to light their way, has become all too familiar, even in the most modern buildings. North Korea has long struggled to secure a stable energy supply. Outdated power plants, resource shortages, and poor management have left the country's electrical grid constantly in disrepair. As a result, even the towering structures built at enormous cost cannot escape the fate of being swallowed by darkness. In truth, the grand skyscrapers Kim Jong-un built no longer stand as symbols of prosperity. Instead, they are stark reminders of the system's impotence. This is a bitter lesson. Flashy exteriors cannot replace the foundation every nation needs: reliable and stable infrastructure. Thus, within these towering buildings, people not only live in luxurious apartments but also breathe in the suffocating broken dream. Number 2. Kim Dong-chul. Kim Dong-chul, a South Korean-born man who later became a U.S. citizen, found himself at the center of a dramatic political and diplomatic storm. He had lived in China and frequently traveled to North Korea for business. However, during a fateful trip in 2015, he was unexpectedly arrested by the North Korean government, setting off a controversy that rocked the globe. North Korea accused Kim of being involved in a spy network aimed at undermining the state. According to the regime, he had been gathering sensitive information about military facilities, and attempting to recruit defectors to provide confidential details. Whether these accusations are true remains a mystery, as North Korea's closed legal system offers no transparency or justice in cases like his. Kim's arrest was not only a national security matter for North Korea, but also a strategic move in the regime's political game. North Korea has long been notorious for using foreign hostages as bargaining chips in international negotiations. These situations are often exploited to apply pressure, seek aid, or gain diplomatic concessions. Kim Dong-chul became a pawn in the political chess game that North Korea plays with the world. Kim's story is not just a personal tragedy, it's also a testament to how this regime operates in secrecy and power. His fate, along with the many other foreign nationals detained, serves as a grim reminder of the hidden risks involved in facing one of the world's most secretive and unpredictable governments. Number 1. The mother and daughter, crossing the border. In the suffocating darkness of North Korea, where the dream of freedom is strangled by the harsh grip of the regime, a heart-wrenching story has echoed, touching the hearts of those who hear it. It is the story of a mother and her young daughter, brave souls who paid a heavy price for daring to dream of a better life. The mother, with eyes full of hope and pain, had conceived a daring plan to escape with her daughter from the oppressive regime, where hunger, isolation, and fear always lurk. She longed to give her daughter a future free from the days of severe control, free from bowing to brutal oppression. They waited patiently and carefully, hoping for the right moment to cross the border, a border where every step was fraught with danger. But on this perilous journey to freedom, fate was cruel and did not favor them. As they neared the border, the cold beam of a border guard's flashlight illuminated them, turning their dream into a nightmare. They were caught. There was no chance to justify or negotiate in a place where the law is merely a tool for punishment. They were not allowed to survive and serve as an example to others. The mother and her young daughter faced the most horrific sentence: death. Their tragedy is not just a sad story, but a powerful indictment of the harsh reality in one of the most repressive countries in the world. It is a place where the desire for freedom, something many consider a natural right, is a luxury that must be paid for with one's life. Though their story ended in sorrow, it remains a quiet flame of inspiration, reminding the world that the longing for freedom never dies, even in the darkest of circumstances.